Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode on the podcast. So today we are joined by Paul, Jack, James, and Harry. James and Jack have been on most weeks of the reviews. I think Jack's only missed one because the first one then's been on everyone ever since. James has appeared on every single one. This is Harry's first time on the podcast. So he's here for today's review and Paul's second time on the podcast, where before we spoke about the well because Paul was in the well, and today he's here to talk about the Interstellar Song Contest, and we'll talk about the finale coming up, which is really exciting. So I'm going to go in the order that people joined. Well, no, actually, I'm not going to go in that order. I'm going to go in the order that Zoom tells me to. So I'm going to go the order left to right. And then towards the end of the podcast, for last thoughts, we'll go the opposite way, so it's fair. So, Paul, what we normally do each week is everyone has a chance to give their views on the episode, and then you give your rating out of 10.
Yeah,
What you think. So, if you just tell us a little bit what you thought about the episode and what you thought.
I think it was just a nice, fun Doctor Who episode, to be quite honest. Like, it's nice to just feel like the Doctor did end up here accidentally, and it's just the adventure just ensues just like that. Yeah, it was tied into the greater story in the end, but I think as it goes, it was just a nice Doctor Who adventure. You could have plopped it anywhere, and it just been just as good. I think it just been really, really nice. And I think that's what is good about it. And there's a great cast of characters as well. Like, we've got the couple who are brilliant. Like they've both got different jobs, they excel in fields. We've got another nurse. And we got to see a rebellion, I suppose. That's good.
Yeah, I actually really like the side characters in this episode. I think they were really good.
Hmm, I agree. I agree
Yeah,
with
yeah. I particularly like Gary. I don't know why.
you. Gary's
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah. I think what he was in Coronation Street. Not that's got nothing to do with Doctor Who, but just a fact. So out of 10, what do you think, Paul?
I give it, I give it around the 8 or 9 mark. So I'm going to say 8.5
Hmm.
because I feel like, when you say 10 out of 10, that's perfect. You can't find any faults with something. So I'm going to sh shoot in with an 8.5 and pray that you do point fives because you might not. I don't know.
Yeah, I do point five.
Okay, cool. I give it 8.5.
Yeah. It's just when we get into those silly stuff when people go like, I think it's a 4.9 or something like that. So I think when we do that, that's quite silly, but 0.5s are fine.
Hmm.
Um, so Jack, what did you think?
Well, I went into this episode thinking, right, it's going to be absolutely, you know, bombastic, silly, camp as well, because you got loads of different aliens in a song contest. And to be honest, that was like the first 10 minutes. Everything else felt like pure drama. And I was quite shocked over that. The first viewing when I watched this, it felt like a Die Hard premise. So a nice, simple Die Hard story. The one thing I would say that Doctor Who always struggles with is the use of exposition and how they handle it. Sometimes it's handled well, sometimes it's handled not. And I'm really pleased to report that in this case, it's handled really well. I love the side characters. I thought they were great. Like what Paul was saying as well. If it's a 10 out of 10, that means it's a perfect episode. There's no faults or little nitpicks. I think no matter what, there's nothing going to be 10 out of 10 with anything because you're always going to have a nitpick the more you watch it. So I'm going to give it a 9.5 because I love how it explored more of the Doctor's Time Lord Victorious side of his character. It actually showed his ability in that not all of his smiles will be joyous. And sometimes it's about hiding something that he doesn't really want to show off to, like Belinda or Ruby. And I have to be honest as well, I think the scene in which I think Mason would agree with this, the scene where the Doctor is floating in space, about to die, iced up, and we get that fabulous reveal of Susan. I thought that entire sequence was top notch. It was perfect. I can't actually see any faults with it. So 9.5 for me.
9.5. Yeah, so is that a 9.5?
No, actually, I'll take that back. It'll be a 9.9 just to really.
Oh,
Don't do that. Okay, no point that. Yeah. So so James, what I guess because you weren't here last week, give us a little view of your thoughts of the story in the engine, and then talk about the Interstellar Song Contest.
Okay, I'll do a very very quick overview of the story in the engine. Um, I think a lot of the episode was parts that we predicted. I did like the storyline. I thought it was quite interesting that we like had a Nancy, and I liked the concept of exploring like more of this godlike pantheon situation thing, even though it turned out that he wasn't. I liked, it was one of those episodes, a bit like where you're in a bit of a loop. Um, I think like you get with like either the Daleks and stuff like that. I've always liked those type of episodes. I've always had a soft spot for them, and I really did enjoy the story. It wasn't my favorite in the whole series. It's probably the lowest I've ranked actually in the whole series so far. I gave that, if I'm not mistaken, I think about a 7.5 out of 10.
Yes.
I love the characters, but it was one of those episodes which felt like it wasn't really. I didn't feel like, I mean, many might disagree. I didn't feel like it was going to be too tied into what happens later. But I did like the fact that we got the Joe Martin, the fugitive Doctor again, because I felt like that was just parked for maybe a little bit too long. I'm glad that we're continuing to explore the pre-Hartnell Doctors, and I hope that that's something that continues, even if it's just briefly. But other than that, I still very much enjoyed the episode. Now, the Interstellar Song Contest. Now, when it was first revealed that we were going to get a Eurovision themed episode, my ears pricked up straight away because I am a massive Eurovision fan, as some of you may know. And I was really interested to see how Doctor Who was going to mix Eurovision and that kind of event into the story. I found that the Interstellar Song Contest was quite a healthy balance between having a nice, fun, um, camp Doctor Who episode, which was standalone but also tied in very nicely to what was going to happen later. It didn't completely neglect the story further down the line. Actually was quite a significant one at the same time. I thought it was quite a healthy balance. I liked the fact that we had like Rylan as a guest star, Graham Norton. I loved the side characters. I think you name dropped him.
Gary.
Earlier. I remember Gary was one of them. There were these characters that made you laugh, and they were quite significant as well to the story. Um, so I like that. The sort of the rebellion that happened in the middle of the song contest was quite interesting, and as a Eurovision fan, it was quite interesting to know the motive behind it, because as some Eurovision fans may know, I won't go into too much detail, but there is obviously a lot of talk about the companies that are heavily involved with the song contest, and there's a lot of controversy with that. So to me, it hit home like quite a lot. It was like, oh, okay, I can see that they've kept this very topical. But um, what I did love as a result of that is seeing more of the Doctor's dark side. Because I think in a lot of seasons of late, we've seen the Doctor being the good character that the Doctor is supposed to be, but almost to a point where they're too perfect. I quite like the fact that we're now seeing another version of the Doctor that is far from perfect. The Doctor has his flaws. and I do like the fact that we're seeing companions or other significant characters saying to the Doctor, hey, come on, chill out, and trying to put the Doctor back on the right path again. I loved that. I thought that was brilliant. Um, the revelation of the Rani, I thought was absolutely fantastic. I still have question marks over the bi-generation concept, but I'm hopeful that we're now sooner or later going to get an explanation as to how and why this is happening. But overall, I gave this episode a 9 out of 10. For me, it was almost perfect. I think the only thing that could have made it a 10 out of 10 is if maybe as part of the song contest, they brought back maybe like one recurring alien, like to be one of the contestants or something like that, just to give a little bit more fan service.
Yeah, you know, did you remember the song that they played before everyone got sucked out of the dome?
Good.
Mhm.
Yeah, like the alien was singing it. Christina Rotondo's the actor who done it, and she done the Goblin song.
Yes.
And I have spoke to her before, like on Instagram and stuff, and I said to her, I wanted to hear more because we only heard a little snippet of it, and then she replied to me saying, I'll do a gig on my Instagram." So,
That's right.
which is good because I actually liked the start of that tune, right? And I was wanting to hear more, and like that's something because it was Eurovision Doctor Who, you'd think we'd hear a bit more songs. I would know we heard one at the end, but just like a few more acts. There wasn't many acts there, but I do think that's good as well, not to make Doctor Who too much like Eurovision. So yeah, so you give it a 9 out of 10.
Yes.
Give it a 9 out of 10. Harry, what did you think of the episode?
All right. So, unlike everyone else on this podcast, I wouldn't really say I'm as big into Eurovision. It's not something I particularly tune in and watch. So, it wasn't really a story. Like, it wasn't like one I was like, oh my God, we got to get through this one. I was still looking forward to it, like any Doctor Who episode. But I think the concept didn't initially gravitate me towards its premise. But I gotta say, I still think it's a cracking episode. And yeah, I suppose, well, it's just like in the first 10 minutes is the whole Eurovision stuff. Well, even as a non-Eurovision geezer who doesn't watch the program, you can easily watch it and just assume, oh, it's just some like music contest in space. And yeah, I don't feel like it's so engraved in Univision where it's like alienating to like any viewers who are not familiar with it. Because I think what this story focused on the most, and it's the most important aspect of anything, is the drama, the characters, and you just get so enwrapped of like everything that's been going on and sort of breaking down. And the Doctor, when he has his sort of funny turn, and you're like, oh my goodness, where's this going? This whole sort of arc going on. So yeah, and even though I wouldn't say it's my favorite story from this season so far, I think I would definitely will say, well, they've said it's like one of the most expensive Doctor Who stories this season, or the most expensive, and it certainly feels the most grand story so far this season. I can definitely feel it's really grand. So yeah, they've definitely put that money towards good use.
Yeah.
Yeah, and oh, I was watching the story. So I had my missus come over the last weekend, and I was just watching it in bed, and she was doing her own thing. And it was the bit coming up where the Doctor was freezing in space, and he had that vision of Susan. And I'm a hardcore lover of the '60s era of Doctor Who, and I was like screaming my head off. Well, not literally, but I was like, "Oh my God!" And she's like, What is it?" I said, "Oh, they brought back this character from Doctor Who." And she's not really a Whovian, so she had no idea who Susan was. Well, I was so excited over that. But yeah, that was an exciting tease. And I suppose the nice thing about Susan's inclusion, well, I'm going to say, is like it wouldn't. Like, I almost feel like the story works just as well if she wasn't there, but in a nice sort of way. Like that sort of tease didn't kind of overshadow the whole story. you could have very easily swapped out Susan for the Doctor's current companion, because I think that would have similarly worked as well. But I suspect, I'm hoping she'll be in the finale, so it's just not a one-off tease. If it's a one-off tease, then why did you put her in there? Such a waste opportunity.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and I'm so glad as well. Like so far on this podcast, we've talked more about the actual story than what the leading teasers that have been in the story. Because I think I find too many. I feel like there's like too many corners of the internet where it's like a certain reference or character comes back that overshadows the story. Like, you shouldn't be judging the value of the story on, oh my god, they referenced that Doctor Who story, or they brought back that geezer. That's a nice addition, but really you should evaluate the story as it is as a whole. Um, so yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I wouldn't call it my favorite of the season, but yeah, I absolutely love it. Great drama, and God, so much drama going on. Like, so many lives at risk, and you're thinking, oh my God, like we haven't even got to the finale yet, and you think, how's the finale gonna top this?
What is your favorite of the season, Harry?
What is my favorite? Ooh, I've really liked the ones, a bit of a a bit of a change for Doctor Who, but I really love the ones where they focus on the toxic boyfriend approach. I'm really bad with names, I'm so sorry, but it was the first story of the season, and then it was the returning episode with Ruby in it. The ones I'm talking about, what are they called again?
Lucky Day?
Yeah, Lucky
Robot
Day. There, I
Revolution.
should have remembered Lucky Day. Such a simple
Conrad.
title.
Is that the one with Conrad?
Robot
Oh,
Revolution.
man. Yeah, there we are. Now, they tease everyone it was going to be AI, but it wasn't. It was Al. I think those are the ones that have stuck out in my head so far, because it's like it's really different for Doctor Who to like deal with a real life, villain in a sense, and not just in like politics, but literally someone any of us can run into, a really toxic partner. And yeah, it's and I applaud Doctor Who for shedding a light on especially toxic masculinity, and that there's sadly some guys out there who are really controlling. And yeah, I applaud Doctor Who, and I feel like it's been very gently sort of handled both of those times. So yeah, but if I had to pick like just almost like a fan favorite rather than legitimately in terms of story favorite, I like Lux because it's so different from what we've had before. So yeah, I know those are three favorites, but I suppose those have been the highlights for me. And they've come so early in the season. I almost feel like I've already been spoiled before Eurovision. No, not Eurovision, sorry, bloody Space Interstellar-ish.
Space babies.
Yeah. Oh, bloody
I was
Space
waiting
Babies.
for you to say that.
Yeah.
Well,
But
Jack's here. I know he loves the story,
Baby.
so I'm not going to say any more. We
yeah,
agreed to disagree on that one.
yeah. I'll give you my thoughts on the Interstellar Song Contest. So I liked it.
Mhm.
On first viewing, I probably didn't like it as much as my second time watching it.
Mhm.
Because I felt it went really fast. It was a very fast-paced episode, but also it was very slow as well. So it went fast, then it went slow, fast, slow. I felt the reason I feel like longer. This should have been a longer episode. And it's been the case most episodes, except from the well. Bar and the well, I think most episodes should be a few more minutes longer. And the reason I say in this episode is because I feel like we see Kid too far in, too early in. Sorry, like we just start the episode. Belinda and the Doctor have just sat down, and then we see Kid. I wanted more of a backstory from him. I know we saw his species. I know all that, but I wanted more of a backstory, more story from him. Because I liked him. I more liked him on my second watch through than I did on my first. So, and then at the end, I I felt the ending was good. It was just at the start, and then in the middle we did really good. I loved. I did think Graham Norton wouldn't be a hologram. I thought he was just going to be the like that teaser they shared with him just speaking over the contestants. I thought that was going to be his only inclusion, and that was just for advertisement then for Doctor Who. So I laughed. The line they him say, "Planet Earth is unknown," because obviously he's known for ruining the episodes. So then he was like, "Doctor Who is gone." So yeah, I gave an 8. I gave it an 8 in my first watch, but then I upgraded it to an 8.5 because I enjoyed it more my second time. And I keep playing the same scenes all over again. After watching it, I played the Susan reveal so many times because I feel like that's one of the best times the music of 15 plays, because sometimes you maybe feel the 15th theme is forced because it's played a lot in a lot of episodes, and I feel like the way they made it, like when he's remembering Susan, and then he's in space getting on that confetti thing, and then he's screaming. But the only thing I have to say about that, it was so good scene, right? But how can he open his mouth when he can't breathe in space? So that's the only thing I say about that, because how's he doing that?
So I actually got an answer for that. So I watched this episode. Oh, Paul, you've got your hand up.
No, no, yeah, you go ahead. I feel like you're about to take it away. I think you're about to say exactly what I was thinking. So you go ahead, my friend.
Extended bubble.
But
It's the extended bubble. So remember the scene where he was talking to Gary and I forgot the other character's name, but he was
oh yeah, when
he
he
was like,
came
yeah,
back
I'm
in.
clever. Yeah, he was basically
Yeah.
saying he extended the bubble, but because of the temperature and space is so cold, it
Mm.
freezes the body and almost like turns people into like giving this coma state. So what happens with his body is that if you spend too long out there, your body will die purely from temperature. So that's why the Rani nearly died, because she was the last one to be brought back, and hence why she had a bioregeneration moment. At first, I was like, how's he able to breathe? Because there was like an actual air coming out of his mouth, and then I thought, oh no, extended bubble.
Yeah. That I did think I forgot about that. Because I think they said it when he eventually got in. Got in, but I think when actually watching it for the first time, you do wonder before it's actually explain. Um, but yeah, so 8.5. Not my favourite either. Um, I'd say it goes in like middle ranking of like all the episodes. I think the Well and Lucky Day are my favourites. Um, and Lux actually. So we had a really nice start to the series, and hopefully we finish that way as well with the finale. So I want to talk about the Rani reveal at the end. I want to know what everyone thinks of where the reveal was. Like, do we feel that? Because I was sat here waiting for the Rani reveal. Well, not the Rani reveal, just Miss Flood. The Miss Flood the reveal. I spoke to a few friends, and they were saying too. I was just waiting. I just sat here waiting, thinking, "Hang on, why are we not getting this reveal yet? What's going on?" So, do we feel like the Rani reveal was too late, or do we feel like the Rani reveal should have been earlier, or it should have been next week?
If I can go first, I didn't even know there was going to be a reveal in the story because I try and stay off social media when the current season of Doctor Who. So I didn't get the memo that there was a big reveal in the story. So when there was like a post-credit scene, I was like, "Oh, there's a post-credit scene. Oh, well, what's going to happen? Is it going to be a Lux where it's a funny joke?" No, the bloody Rani's back, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I got to say, I suspected Susan was going to come back. I remember talking to Jack about this about over a year ago because I said, "Oh yeah, they foreshadow it so much that of course she's going to come back." You know, there's no surprise there. But I was talking to somebody else about who um oh bugger, I've lost what's the name? Miss Flux? No, not Flux.
Flood?
What's her name again?
This is Flood?
Mrs. Blood. Sorry, I'm so bad with names. Mrs. Blood.
But Flood, not
Flood.
Flood.
Oh, Jack's trying to make me look more like a fool than I already do. Mrs. Flood. I remember talking to somebody last year, like, "Oh, who could Mrs. Flood be?" And she said, "Oh, it's got to be the Rani." And I thought, nah, they're going to introduce somebody completely. She's going to be someone completely new. But nope, I've got egg on my face now. It was the Rani after all. I was like, oh, it's the Rani. Oh, okay, this is going to be interesting. Yeah. Not too thrilled about the bioregeneration stuff. I feel like, okay, second time around I could forgive it, but I hope this doesn't become a trend where every time regeneration happens is going to be double of the Doctor or the Master or the Rani. I could forgive it because we've so rarely seen it, but I think if you do any more time, then it sort of defeats the line of what Shutigatwa said. Was bioregeneration is like a legend. It's so rare. Like, yeah, you got to stop doing it, or else it sort of diminishes its impact.
I think that's pretty impressive that you managed to avoid the fact that there was going to be a reveal at the end of this episode, because I think Russell T Davies kind of gave that away in his post, didn't he? He was like, make sure you watch it as soon as possible. And yeah, so I tell you what, kudos to you for being able to avoid that. Um, but I think there is quite a common opinion on this, and I'm going to echo it. And I think it was very, very late. I personally think that a reveal like that deserved more than to be a post-credit scene. I think that was it should have been towards the end of the main episode. I think because for me, post-credit scenes really should be like just a little teaser for maybe what's coming up next. I felt like this deserved more than that. Um, I I think a lot of people suspected it would be the Rani very early on. I actually discarded that as an option at the start of the season because I thought, oh, I think maybe we might be going down the route of maybe introducing a new character. But then the more and more teasers came up, I think we said a lot on the podcast that this has now got to be a character that we know for the amount that they've built it up. And I'm so happy that we're getting the Rani again. I think it was time for the Rani to come back. I think the next incarnation of the Rani is a fantastic choice for the actress. But what I will say about the bi generation is the fact that I think that the concept of bi generation is a very drastic change in the Hooniverse for the audience to be expected to just swallow and accept without an explanation. I think that this has to be explained at some point, especially if the 15th Doctor did say, which he did, that, oh, it's supposed to be a myth. It's just happened. It's like, okay. So in that case, then, if it's supposed to be a myth, how was it now suddenly come into being? I mean, is this the Rani's work? Maybe could this be the Rani sort of tampering with regeneration to make that a thing? Could it be part of the toy maker's state of play? I'd like an answer on that quite soon now that we've got it for a second time. And I think it would be the right time for a definitive answer as to why that is. I would hate it if we are just expected to accept that, right, this is the way regeneration works now, because why not?
I
I've
agree.
got another Oh, sorry. No, I got another question about an explanation. Do you think we'll ever find out what happened to Rani with all them tech traps at the end of Time of the Rani? How did she get rid of them?
It's interesting because with the Rani, so I'm going back and watching. I finished Mark of the Rani, and I enjoyed that episode. Not the best, but
Hmm.
to introduce the Rani, I thought was really quite cool. I'm still on Time of the Rani, so no spoilers, Harry.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Jack.
No, in
I've just
Mark of the
ruined that for
Rani,
him.
Master's there just randomly.
That's the thing.
Why is
I'm
he
like,
there?
Oh no, they
but
never explained what happened to the dinosaur at the end of Mark of the Rani. So
Harry, you brought up something really good. So I saw a theory going around
Mhm,
that those dinosaurs in the Rani's TARDIS could have
mhm.
some relation as to what we see in terms of the dinosaurs in Wish World.
Oh.
So I saw a theory, and James, to go on what you were saying about the explanation, this theory, I was just, when you see loads of Doctor Who fans having speculations and you thought, yeah, that's a load of rubbish. And that one's quite cool. The one I thought, was quite cool was that Rani is the one behind the bi-generation stuff,
Ooh.
experimenting with regen.
Mm.
It just seems a very Rani thing to do.
It would. Yeah.
Oh.
But if
I
it's not, I think it will be a missed opportunity because then fans will be like, oh, this makes sense now. Do you get what I mean?
Or they're going to make it a running thing where every Rani story, they're just going to neglect any kind of continuity. So, oh, bi-generation, out the window, long with the dinosaurs. Let's not explain that. On to the next adventure.
I actually got a question for Paul.
Ooh.
So, Paul, you said, as you said before, you're a Doctor Who fan. How do you feel about, with the exploration towards bi-generation and all this? Like, how are you feeling about all that?
I know I pros and cons. Pros, you can get multi-Doctor stories without having to do, or multi-Rani stories, Time Lord, multi-Time Lord stories. Let's say that you can do multi-Time Lord stories without having to have a paradox in place or something like that to do those stories. That's the pro I see, but con-wise, I can see what people are saying straight away. I was thinking the same thing too. It's supposed to be really, really rare. My in explanation in my head for why it even happened with the Doctor is because the toy maker's rules were at play. Like the whole reason they were able to duplicate the TARDIS is because in the toy maker's own rules, you're meant to get a prize, and the Doctor used the toy maker's own logic to make the prize under the TARDIS. So I thought the whole reason that myths. Well, the Doctor puts Soul on the edge. I'm getting way far back now into that whole special thing, but the Doctor poured Soul at the edge of the universe. It broke laws and physics, and it brought in things that defy reason, like the Toymaker and their pantheons and all that. So anything's possible. But I think if the Doctor hadn't poured Soul at the edge of the universe, I don't think bi-generation would have happened. I mean, that could be a long shot. It could be a shot in the dark entirely. But I think because of that, it made all myths, and all legends more likely to be a thing, or made them a thing straight up. Like the barrier between that, the myths and the legends and reality has just dissipated entirely. And I would chalk it up to the toy maker. As for the Rani, I never thought about the Rani inducing the bi-regeneration herself. I also didn't want to interrupt any of you because I really enjoy hearing all of your theories as well, because I'm a huge nerd. So so I really do enjoy hearing other people and what they've
Aren't
got
we
to
all?
say. Oh, I try my best. But yeah, I think it'd be cool if the Rani has induced the bi-generation herself. But there are things in my mind that I'm like, I feel like the Ranis had help somewhere. And it's because the way has the Rani bi-generated before? We haven't seen the Rani in however long. The Rani could have done anything in however many length of time. Like we could see a Rani later on down the line in Doctor Who, and it'd be like, who's Mrs. Flood? That it could be that.
Yeah.
But it's the way that after they bi-generate, Mrs. Flood, a Rani, and the Rani, they just accept it. It's like they know what they're doing. They're in their battle stations. It's like they were ready for this. They were ready for this. They were ready for this time. So what's that about? What's that about? Were they expecting this? Is there a third party that's helped the Rani, in my opinion, to get to here? And better yet, why? Like the reason I never thought it was the Rani is because the Rani was breaking the fourth wall. Like for the longest time, the Rani's been breaking the fourth wall now, and I'm like, how do you know? How do you know? If you're a Time Lord, how do you know? Also, how do you feel about being a clone? I mean, the Master didn't take it too well. How do you feel about it? Sorry, that might be wrong actually, because I forget now how Tecteun did it all.
Have you seen the clip that they released for a Wish World?
What is it?
So I just want to make sure because obviously I know that people don't like to watch clips or anything, because I don't like to watch clips, but considering there wasn't a next time trailer for this, I thought this is fine, a clip. Is everyone happy with me talking about this clip? It is released online,
It's
so
so cold.
That's right. Are you on about? Yeah, you're on about the one where.
two Ranis,
Yes.
that one. So that clip is interesting because out of all clips, they could have done a next time trailer, they could have done this, because I find the promo for Wishworld fascinating because they are deliberately releasing images to really make the fans go, what on earth is happening in this episode? And because you've got Poppy there, you've got Ruby there, you've got Unit acting all like a big giant One Division fake out. And what I really, really appreciate about the promo for this one is that I think it's going to really get fans stirring about what could happen for the reality war. And in the clip, they talk specifically at the very start with Mrs. Flood saying, "Oh, I would be careful, it's quite icy up here." Icy, Snowflakes, Ruby Sunday, season one. So
Ah,
straight away, I'm starting to think, right, we are definitely not done on Ruby Road. So I think this episode is going to be the oh, that makes sense type thing, putting the extra little puzzle pieces back to where they should be, so it really shows the bigger scope of the picture of what Russell T Davies has been planning since he was back on as showrunner.
tagging off that, it's probably not going to. They're probably not going to do anything with it because I fear for James and I fear for Harry, because Doctor Who can choose to explain things and it can choose to just breeze on by. And there's a lot of things that James and Harry have said they want explained. And I really fear for you two both. I do. I pray they do. I pray they do explain it. But I have a feeling that you're not gonna see that kind of joy. At least not to the extent that maybe you want it. But as for what you were just saying, Jack, I was actually going to tag off what you said about Ruby is I would like it to be, proven wrong that it was just because people believed this about Ruby for so strongly and so unwaveringly that the snow fell because the belief was so strong it broke reality. You know, I would I would say there's stuff to play with. If they're not going to correct that and have it be for another reason entirely, then if if enough people believe something now that it can break reality, there's a lot to play with there. I think, because if all people like the Doctor in itself, they are a legend. They're a legend going around planets. There's got to be something that everyone believes about the Doctor. At what point do enough people believe something about the Doctor that isn't true, but it is forcibly made true because they believe it? Or is it just never going to be touched on again? Which is why I was tagging off James and Harry, because that concept of if a belief is strong enough, it can change reality. Will it ever be used again? Will it ever be touched on again? If I'm honest, probably not. But it'd be interesting if they do.
Yeah, I know I joked about earlier about oh yeah, explaining where the Rani's been to all this time. That to be honest, unless I'm more fussed about like the current era staying in its own like explaining its continuity rather than stuff happening 30 years ago. Like I'm all right if like because enough time's passed, anything could have happened to the Rani. You could fill that in with the expanded media. So I don't mind if they don't explain what Rani's been up to. I don't mind about the bioregeneration stuff because that's a new concept and oof. I think I feel like at this, like I said, at this point, you can't bring up any more, or else you really lessen the impact. And if you're going to bring up more, then you got to explain it. But yeah, I'm not too worried about because I was thinking about this a lot the other day. Like, I'm not too worried a lot of the time about Doctor Who trying to explain like its continuity because it's a 60-plus-year show now. So if you try and fill in all the gaps throughout the whole history, you could end up just doing more damage than good. Or was it like they were trying to explain what year did the unit stories take place in? And it made more issues than it solved. So, yeah. But something I am kind of at least hoping that they'll explore a little bit. I'd love to know what Susan's been up to since she went off with David. only because that's such a long loose thread, and I just think it'd be such a missed opportunity to not find out what she's been up to with David, or if David's still around. Actually, is David's actor still alive? Anyway, we'll find out in the next 2 weeks. But yeah,
Yeah, I think Wishwell could be a Human Nature Part Two. I have that feeling, just from the photos that we've seen. And I also think, going on what Jack was saying about that clip, I've got a feeling, Wishworld, where the controls are, I feel like that's going to be the Rani's TARDIS. I feel like we're probably going to see the Rani's TARDIS at some point, in the next 2 weeks, um, or next, in the next 2 weeks. So it's going to be interesting because the Rani hasn't been on our screens for so long, and the Rani could know, God knows what the Rani knows after all this time. It's really interesting to bring a character back that none of us know. Like, if they brought the Master back, we'd be like, oh, we already know. Like, the Master probably knows a lot more. But with the Rani's much different than the Master. Although they're the same time, the Time Lord, the Rani's more sciencey, so it could connect a lot of loose threads and a lot of questions at once. So you like the Ruby question. I don't think I do think Ruby's mum is Ruby's mum from last year, because that'll be a waste. That'll be a wasted storyline, to be honest. If that wasn't the case, but I do think maybe, there could have been experiments done on Ruby, or it could have been, something to do with, Ruby Road and the snow. But I don't know. I feel like Belinda and Ruby are going to be having different paths in this finale, just very differently. And I feel like next the end of Wish World is going to be big. I think it's going to be a big cliffhanger, whatever it will be. Obviously, the unholy trinity. We have the two Ranis are one, and Comrade. And I don't think Comrade's going to, be too nice, to the Ranis, because, as we know from Lucky Day, Comrade does not like to getting told what to do. So, it's going to be interesting how that's all unfolded, because it looks like Miss Flood is in the same costume as she was in Lucky Day, so it may unfold after that. But the only, annoyance I find, between Miss Flood now is that when she bi-generated, her personality changed. Like, she was very in charge for the majority of, everything. Like, she was like the boss, and so and so. But then she changes her personality. Like, I don't know. Here, the Rani's come now. I'm just here, and
Oh, yes, ma'am.
yeah, yes, mum. And it's really different to when the 15th Doctor bi-generated when the 14th Doctor, because there was like, we're the same person. No one's better than the other person, and it's almost like, move aside, Miss Flood. Here comes the Rani. So I got a feeling Miss Flood could turn on the Rani eventually as well.
maybe that's a consequence of biogeneration. The previous incarnation either is subservient to the current incarnation, or just like the Doctor retires.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that about Mrs. Floods and the Rani, because it reminds me an awful lot of Missy and the Master in Series 10. I think that we could get a similar thing to that. I think that when the Rani bi-generates and like the Rani comes along, that seems to be a more raw version of who the Rani is. Whereas Mrs. Flood may have been an incarnation that has stuck around for quite a long time and has kind of had been influenced by other things as time went on, changing her personality, and then therefore you get that massive change. It would not surprise me if, like you said, Mason, we see those two um, disagreeing or going up against each other eventually.
Yeah.
That actually would make a lot of sense, because throughout season 2 and a little bit of season 1 as well, I was starting to debate whether if she was all bad, because there were being occasional lines where she would talk about the Vindicator and how she was like, the Vindicator, as I expected, that is very good news. And as soon as I realized, I thought, okay, you're wanting the Doctor to get back to her. So something's clearly happening where you're trying to lure the Doctor back in. And then obviously when the Rani happened, she wants the Vindicator. But also, if we cast our minds back to Empire of Death, near to the end when everyone was coming back from being dust, you get that shot where Mrs. Flood and Cherry were back, and she was like cheering that she's all back, but then she says, "Oh, that clever boy." So clearly, there's that positive chemistry that she has for the Doctor. And as soon as the bi generation happened, it started to make sense to me that I think we are getting a somewhat Missy type story where there's a bit of her that's really bad, but there's also a bit of her that's really good. An anti character, basically. And as soon as the Rani splits, you get Mrs. Flood that's probably, to be honest, fingers crossed, turns good and the Rani stays bad. So I wonder if that was like a nice little foreshadow showing different traits of the Rani in Mrs. Flood's personality.
That's the sort of the nice thing about the Rani is like she's been so very underutilized in the main show that really she's a blank canvas. You can really play a lot of the Rani. Because so far she's only had sort of 2 stories, and aside from really hardcore Doctor Who fans, I wouldn't really say she's generally very well known, at least maybe in the mainstream, to just general people. People have heard of the Master, no doubt, but the Rani, who's that? And a lot of people say, oh, she's like the female equivalent to the Master. But really, she's her own flavor. She's like a mad scientist, if you will, where the Master, he does dabble in a bit of science, but he's more preoccupied of trying to take over the world than, well, being a mad scientist.
From both stories, like today, I watched. I want to do my research on the Rani, so I watched the 2 stories that she was in, and the, she's very sneaky, the Rani. So she doesn't like to be seen, and maybe that's why. Because Miss Flood said, "Is the Doctor here?" at the end of the last episode. So she wanted to reveal herself not in front of the Doctor, which is really interesting because you would think they would want to do that. They would want to reveal in front of the Doctor. So it's really interesting. It's going to be really interesting when the Ranis actually see the Doctor. Because I'm really excited when that happens. Because the Doctor, every single, a lot of the episodes, are saying, "I'm the last of the Time Lords, I'm the last of the Time Lords." So it's going to be nice when they meet because they'll be like, "Oh, I'm not last of the Time Lords anymore."
Dare I say, could the Rani and the Doctor procreate? Bring back the Time Lord species.
Ah,
Nah, they'd never get along. Nah, the Rani's too chaotic for the Doctor,
Sorry,
especially
you
if she's
just put
Gamma.
that vision in my head now, and I can't
yeah.
see it.
I think I think you've said something there, Mason, that could be played with in the next 2 episodes. Because the Doctor's seen Mrs. Flood, and the Doctor's already a little suspicious of Mrs. Flood, but he hasn't seen the Rani yet. So the Doctor could be in the next not the next two, I think probably just the next one, but in the next episode, I think there's a great opportunity for the Doctor to be talking to the Rani like straight away, and like the Doctor just not know it's the Rani. The Rani can be in there from the get-go talking to the Doctor, and the Doctor have no clue, but as an audience member, and you're like, where's this going? Where's this going? Doctor, don't trust this woman. Don't trust this person. But
Oh, I just thought of what they could do as a callback. Like, was it in Time with the Rani? What, she dresses up as Mel for a bit. What if she like disguised herself as Mel in the finale and tricks the Doctor like he did in the 7th incarnation?
Well, it's funny you say that because Mrs. Flood, people picked up on the fact that she was dressing up as like people from the Doctor's past.
Mm-hmm.
So, that has been done before, like
Ooh.
already. Yeah.
Hey, I called it here first, folks.
Yeah.
I wrote this story.
Yeah, what I love about this particular episode is that there's a lot of layers here, and I just thought of something. I don't know if it was Harry or Paul, but we were talking about how obviously, I think it was Harry, where we were talking about the Rani's really sneaky and all that. Just imagine if the Rani wasn't the last person to be taken back to the station, and the doctor was just right there, and how he would had to witness, hang on a second, you're Mrs. Flood. How the hell are you here? Just imagine if that was the case. And maybe, Mason, that's why you think it could have been done a little bit more earlier, and how that could be the right point in thinking, right, something's at play here. They run, and then Graham Norton appears saying planet Earth and all that. He's gone to dust and rubs and all that. Oh, Paul, you've had a thought.
Yeah, because I just remembered something that I forgot. What's going on with Earth? Because yeah, that's the obviously running question, but it exists in the Interstellar Song Contest episode, but it doesn't exist in the well. How can the timeline be changing that quickly? What's happened to it? Because, Interstellar Song Contest, they have records of Earth. They still remember it. They just know that it ended at a certain date. But in the
What year does it
well,
take
no,
place in the Interstellar Song Contest?
say that again, sorry.
What year does it take place? Because I know they mentioned that quite early on.
It's the year of
Is it 2125?
I think so.
Because I know the well takes place 500,000 years into the
yeah,
future. So it could just be that planet Earth was forgotten.
but no humans ever been met.
That's what I'm
The-
thinking. I think RTD is probably trying to tread a fine line here of trying to have a really big, ambitious story of what happened to Earth and why can't we get back to Earth?
But did you pay attention to what Graham Norton said?
What did he say? He says a lot of things.
Earth was disintegrated.
Yeah.
On what was it? May 20 something,
Paul,
2025.
May 24th, right? The episode air
24th.
date.
Wait a minute. Today's May 21st. Oh shit, guys.
We've got 3 days left.
Oh.
Ah!
Oh no.
Everybody start ticking off your bucket list.
It's
Oh, and
2012 all over
dramatic.
again.
hitting Earth as well on May the 24th. So yeah.
It's all right. I'm gonna die at London Comic Con. Right.
Hey.
Oh, you're going to MCM?
Yes, I am.
Oh, cool.
Are you seeing?
David Tennant.
Oh yeah.
I was so
well,
jealous.
there you, I
I
might
was-
be safe. I've got a doctor to help me out.
Yeah. Get the
You've got the
for
10th
us.
and the 14th. Yes, sir, you've got 14 to come and save you. Oh man, I'm so jealous. Normally I would go to MCM, but this year I couldn't.
Oh, I don't. Oh, mate, you've got plenty of time. Honestly, you've probably got cheaper cons you could do like this.
Oh, there's the one in Western Supermare, Stars of Time.
I'll be there because I live there.
Oh, I was having a look at that this morning, and they've got Brian Blessum there. It's made me tempted to go now. It's been years since I've last gone, but Brian Blessum.
You can see some of my cosplay stuff here.
Oh,
Actually, it's all around the room. I've got my Doctor Who suits in that wardrobe. I've got a 10 and a 14.
Is that Boba Fett one?
Costume, mate.
Oh yes, that's a Boba Fett helmet, but I've not worked on that one yet.
Oh.
I'm working on a Halo Reach cosplay. But at the moment I'm working on this.
Ooh.
Oh.
Hey.
But unfortunately, this is just because of how hot it was today, this has just snapped. This
Oh.
site has just melted in the sun and just snapped. And I'm really sad about it.
That's a shame.
Oh.
That's
So,
a
can I
shame.
guess what character you going as? Is it a generic Star Wars character, or are you going a very certain Star Wars character?
This should be able to give it away. It might. Does it help you out or no?
Or does his name go by Ham Salad?
That's the one, yeah. Very, very unknown, it was a wild card of a character, that one, but I like it. I like him a lot.
Oh, I'll show you my Doctor Who. I'll show you my cosplay. I'm a Doctor Who character that's appeared in the recent series. There you go. I'm a
Oh,
Doctor Who fan. Yeah.
ah, that's good. I like that. I thought you were about to tell me you've made your own Dalek because wow, that'd be
Oh, I
cool.
wish.
Yeah, people
No.
can actually do that, but it's very expensive.
They hand
Oh, no.
out the instruction manuals at the cons that the Project Dalek lot go to. I've got one actually around here if I wanted to build a Dalek.
I actually built a Dalek as part of my final major at college. We were told to do a project which you have to make something out of pure recycling. So cardboard, plastic, paper. And I was very ambitious. I wanted to do, the Jodie Whittaker episode, Resolution.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You have that Dalek where it's very much a battered made type Dalek. I made that one. I'm gonna see if I tried to find it. It took me weeks and weeks and weeks to make it.
Huh.
So I'll see if I got it. If not,
It, I swear that design inspired a lot of Whovians. Like, hey, your Dalek isn't on model. Don't worry, because here's another Dalek that doesn't look on model. I remember that design. I was pretty cool from what I can remember back at college.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, did we meet then?
Yeah, we would have met. Yeah, I think we jokingly said, "Oh, why don't we do a Doctor Who fan film, a Dalek in the Woods?" Yeah, but we never did it in the end. What happened to that Dalek, by the way?
Yeah, about that. They said to me, right, you could keep it or you can recycle it. And I was like, I really want to keep it. Where on earth will I put it? Um, and so I decided for them to just get rid of it because I just had no room. But I did take photos and I did send it off to Doctor Who magazine to put into for the like where people make stuff. And they said, brilliant, we'll add it on to the next issue. They never did. So bit beat.
Oh, boo
Uh,
to them. Boo to them.
They follow me on Instagram.
Do they?
Yeah, Doctor Who magazine. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
you
God.
better be watching. Remember our
I
man over here. He
We
remembers you.
we had one of the writers on the podcast once.
Did you? Which
Yeah.
one?
I
Oh,
forgot his name now, but he went on the Doctor Who. You know when they made it was one of the magazines that they all put all the magazines on the TARDIS.
Yes.
It was that one. I can't remember. I can't actually remember, but yeah, he came on a while ago. But good fun. Good fun.
Anyway, Jack, you've got a Lou exclusive here, showing off your Dalek design.
I actually can't find it for the life of me. So
oh,
guess what pops up, Harry?
Oh my
Ah.
God!
We made our own little alien film, and in doing
Oh,
so, yeah, bit of blast from the past, Harry.
oh my God! Poor Jack. I cursed him to wear this alien suit because he was the tallest one there.
I feel your pain, Paul, by the way.
Oh, and he had to wear this. He had to be like a panda. He had a black paint all around his eyes, and I don't think you could breathe for that, could you?
It was in the hot, sunny weather. So
Oh,
do you know this Doctor Who actor extra? His name's I think Richard Price.
Oh yeah, not him.
Yeah, yeah. I love his enthusiasm for it. And when I was wearing it, I couldn't help but think, oh my God, he makes it look easy. Like it's so difficult just to be under lots of layers and to do that for nearly, 12 hours a day. Like Paul, when you wore your suit, was it a lot easier to wear or was it actually showed some difficulties for the well?
um, other people would say other things. I thought it was quite comfortable. It was obviously it was a wetsuit, so it was quite tight, quite skin tight. But I thought it was an all right suit. Other people felt like they could never really relax in the suit because it was so tight. They were always like
So,
all the time.
quite skinny then.
Yeah, yeah, but I thought it was pretty comfortable. I mean, but I've worn wetsuits before, so I thought it was all right. But it wasn't as warm as you'd think it was. That's all I'll say about that suit. It was quite chilly.
Oh no.
And the suit did not help.
Mhm.
Oh, how was Shitagawa being in that suit as well? Because obviously he goes through lots of wardrobe changes, and I think that particular suit he wears is very different for his era. Was there any like times where he was loving it, or was there times where he thought, oh, I'm really not enjoying this suit?
I don't think there was any moment Shooty wasn't enjoying, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. I said it to Mason, I'll say it to everyone. He really just enjoys every single second. And the only time I probably didn't see any remote enjoyment from him, it was when somebody was possibly aching or possibly hurt because he was worried about them. And he was worried that, they might not be able to continue, or we should get this fixed, help this person out immediately, sort of thing. That's the only time you could ever see him without a smile on his face because he was worried about someone else. But other than that, no, he had a great time. If anything, what I distinctly remember is there's a promotional shot of the Doctor in the
Oh,
suit,
Oh,
in
I
the
know what you're going to
suit.
say.
yeah, I know what you're on about.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And he was very like, "Damn, my ass looks good." That was funny to me. That was funny to
Booty
me, and he
Gatwa.
he loved it. Yeah.
They did it on purpose, surely.
Yeah.
God, I've done it on purpose.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Um, but guys, final predictions for the two part. So, do we think? Do we have any predictions? Who this may be final member of the Unholy Trinity? Maybe James.
I'm not sure. I'm not going to predict like the full storyline and stuff like that because I think that they've left it very open, and I'm so glad that they've not shown too much because I think like we're just starting to get some characters involved or getting some characters back, and then I think that it's all going to go crazy eventually, and I think I'm quite glad that it's not obvious as to what's going to happen. Well, at least I don't think it is. But one prediction that I am going to make is that at some point in the finale, whether it's part Wish World or the Reality War, I am almost one. I'd say I'm about 99% certain the Master is coming back.
Okay. Okay.
Will he have his golden tooth? What's your
I
prediction
think
on that?
I think the Golden Tooth is going to come into play. I think we're going to learn that either the Rani or a Rani picked it up.
Mhm.
And I think that we've already got a candidate as to who is going to whose body is going to become the master. And I still think, and I said it at the time, and I'm going to say it again, I think that Conrad is going to get upgraded to the master.
I really
Ooh.
hope so because I think that is just such a good way in reintroducing an icon and really getting the fans to be excited for the cinema screening.
Mm.
It would make sense because I think in both Rani stories in Classic Who, the Master's there, so it
Oh
would
no, only
make
the
sense.
first one he's there.
Huh?
Hmm?
No, no, only the first one he's in there. Mark, he's not in time.
Probably not, but
Yeah, that'll
in
save
it,
a few angry comments there.
yeah. But normally, the Master popped up randomly there, so I would think that could happen with Comrade. But at the same
Hmm.
time, I feel like even if it is the Master or Comrade, either or, they're not going to be friendly with the Rani.
Oh.
There's going to be competition there, and amongst all of them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I think regardless if the Master is Comrade or Comrade is just Comrade, we will see another big bad villain come back, and whoever that will be is going to be exciting. Because I feel like we all thought the Rani reveal was good, we all thought the Susan reveal was good, but I feel like this, whatever this is going to be, I think it's going to be much bigger and much dramatic, bigger scale. I think.
I'd like to see another Sutex style reveal like we had
Oh.
in the Legend of Ruby
Mhm.
Sunday, but for whoever the big bad is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sutek's brother. That's who is it going to be?
We want the dog back.
Who's the
Yeah.
boss?
I think and I think the Rani's the boss.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think whoever picks that tooth up is the boss.
Because they've been teasing this since the beginning of this era in the Starbase. So surely, like, because Russell T Davies, as you know, everyone well known in the Hooniverse knows that Russell T Davies had a deal, which was season 1 and 2 and spin-off. Obviously, Christmas specials are included in the 2 seasons. So clearly, it's been a huge story. And that's why, I don't think a lot of things are going to be um left to like season 3 and 4 and beyond. I think everything that's been set up is going to be concluded in season 2 or the spin-off. So
Hmm.
I wonder if the boss is. I think you're right, Mason. I think it's going to be the Rani. But I want to ask everybody as well. Like, obviously, Russell T Davies stated. I love how his sassiness as well. It's like two of the Ranis is one because I say so. Um, I love that because then it creates this mystery of who's going to be the next one. I'm going to say this now. Um, as much as I love Omega, I really hope it's Trickster.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
think it's one of
oh,
three possible
absolutely.
options.
I think I've been watching Sarah Jane Adventures and rewatching it, and I was saying to Harry and Mason, the Trickster, if you watch back, is such a vile character because he uses your history and your future as a bait, as a lure point to change reality.
Mm-hmm.
Come on,
Yeah.
bring it back.
Before we got the reveal of the Rani, I was quite confident that we were going to get the Trickster at some
Hmm.
point. Now that we've got the Rani and we've got a lot more Gallifrey talk going on, like especially like apparently with what's going to happen in Wish World and stuff like that, that now I think also opens up the door for the possibility for it to be also maybe one of Omega or even maybe Rassilon.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
If I had to take a stab of who the boss is going to be, I don't think it's the Rani because I feel like it's got to be a god, a similar godly level like the Toy Maker and Sutek. And Rani, mad scientist, nowhere near that level. So I think it's got to be someone quite powerful like the Trickster. But I do love your theory, James, that it we're leaning back towards Gallifrey. So. Oh, I mean,
Ooh.
me and Jack have been talking about this. I know, Jack, you're longing for the return of Omega.
So am
So
I.
that, yeah,
You
that would be
Such
pretty cool.
you
I
There's
mean,
you a-
now,
you asked how the Rani got out. Maybe she made a deal. Maybe she
Oh,
made a deal, and that changed reality. Because that's my running theory. Like, I've been trying to avoid spoilers, so I don't know anything about these next 2 episodes. I don't even know the description. But there's a picture that's made me think I mean, this could be me being stupid, and all of you could be saying like, Paul, we know this is going to happen. But I think there's a picture of the guy who Kate's in love with, um, and it looks to me like Unit doesn't exist anymore. It looks to me like Unit work for Conrad in eliminating all alien propaganda. It's not real. It doesn't exist. It's all fake. Anything that leaks out isn't real. It's fake. Again, and I feel like that's where this reality is coming into. It's the reality. It's Conrad's reality. He said himself, "I don't accept your reality." So,
oh,
whose reality do you accept?
Paul, have you seen the image of Conrad holding a specific thing?
mm.
No,
why does that look like a Harry
I'm
Potter
not.
book?
It does. He's holding a book that's titled Doctor Harry Potter, Doctor Who, and the Death Wish.
Oh,
So I want that book. That
Can
book.
I
Ah,
can
yeah.
I just say both things support both arguments. And so what I mean by this, there's things that support Omega coming back, and there's things that support Trickster coming back. So Wish World, one thing the Trickster does is give wishes for something in return. And the talk of Time Lords, Omega is a Time Lord, Rassilon is a Time Lord. The Rani big plan, big experiment might be with the space babies making them Time Lords, and that's why you've got Captain Poppy.
Mhm.
So I feel like both arguments can be supported. I would sway more to the Omega argument at the moment than the Trickster argument, only from the evidence that I see. But with what would be good is if it was Omega, they could bring back the Trickster any time. But I just feel like Omega, because of reality and antimatter, would make sense for an Omega to be brought back. It would be easier for the Ranis to make Omega come back than the Trickster. Because if the Trickster was involved, the Trickster would be higher than the Ranis. Even though Omega would ideally be higher than the Ranis, but the Ranis could make Omega come back, where the Ranis couldn't make Trickster come back. So I feel like it could go either way. But who knows? You might get more than just one villain. Because Russell T Davies did state villains are coming. So make of that what you will.
If we get, has anyone seen the little nod as well to Toymaker's giggle in the Interstellar Song Contest?
The logo.
The logo, ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
That bit, that
I
I didn't see that. Crystal D pointed it out, and I thought, oh my
Yeah.
God, how did I not see that?
I'm gonna have to disappear soon, but there's one thing that you've just jogged my memory on. Well, not jogged my memory on, but something I would like to see and see the ramifications of before I go is if this two-parter ends with the Doctor losing and we have to deal a whole season in this new reality. I would very much like to see the Doctor fail and fail big. Not fail and oh my friend is locked in another dimension, which is pretty big, but like I would like to see the Doctor fail and oh my days. I failed so badly that I have lost Earth. I have ruined by losing, I have ruined people's lives. And they don't know it. Sorry, go on, James.
I've wanted that for so long, and it was one of the big criticisms I had of last season. I feel like there's been far too many occasions in Doctor Who where, like, they've they've saved the day, but there's been absolutely no collateral damage. I want there to be I want there to be like a scenario where there's at least either a little bit of collateral damage, or like you said, where the Doctor fails to like defend like the Earth or protect the universe. So then we get at least a few episodes of what the world is actually like when the Doctor doesn't win.
I think Mel should die. Mel should die. I'm sorry, just
Oh,
bringing it out there, but like what you're saying there.
Oh,
Mel should die in this series. It's the perfect ending for her because if we think about it, she's only here because of Rani. Because Russell would have known all those like this is all filmed back to back, right? So Mel dies, perfect. Everyone's so sad. I'd love it because Interstellar Song Contest, right? No one dies again. Empire of Death, nobody dies. So we need a death. We need a brutal one as well because if Mel dies, everyone's gonna be really sad.
I have to say though, I'm glad that nobody died in the Interstellar Song Contest. That was a genocide.
No, yeah, I know, but we could have had someone die. We need some sort of death because in most of the episodes, everyone survives, don't they? So we just need a bit of we need something to be, especially in this finale. We need the stakes to be high, and the stakes are high when stuff like that happens.
I was just going to say what Paul and James' predictions are like. It's the end of the world, and the Doctor. It's so devastating for the Doctor. It's like a difficult road to come back to. I'm going to say that's a crafty. If it's going to end that way, then that's a crafty way for the BBC to twist, Disney's arm to like go on, give us a third season. Let's make another season to try and conclude this resolution, this depressing ending. We can't end it like this.
Yeah. Just lastly before we finish, I think the Valyard should be the next incarnation of the Doctor whenever Shooty goes because I feel like we need an evil Doctor. I think next, which would make sense for like the darkness that Shooty's Doctor's been having this series.
My God, you want Mel dying, the Doctor going all psycho?
Yeah.
Gone.
Hey, you want like a Joker season of Doctor Who? A
Mason's out.
psychomaniac behind the TARDIS.
Mason's out for blood.
Yeah.
Doctor-
We just want bad stuff to happen, don't we? But I hope everyone enjoys it, like the finale, and um, the next review will be after the finale because some of us will be missing Wishworld to go in it blind at the cinema, which I'm planning to do myself. So I won't be on social media. But yeah, thanks Paul for coming back.
No, it's a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to be back, and it's a pleasure to meet all of you guys. I hope I wasn't too rude, and I appreciate you all listening to me as well. My possibly crazy theories.
and thanks to Harry for coming on today as well, and of course to Jack and James. And yeah, we'll back for the next review after the series is finished, to delve into the Wishworld and the Reality War. But thank you for everyone, and we'll see you next time.